departments, agents, and prosecutors that I can make this promise. The Department of Justice will not rest and will not hesitate to protect the American people in our fight against international terrorism and in our efforts to hold corporate wrongdoers accountable.
Thank you, Deputy Attorney General Monaco. Before this unprecedented charge came an extraordinary crime. During the relevant period, Lafarge was a France-based company that manufactured cement and other building materials in 61 countries. Lafarge Cement Syria, or LCS, as I'll refer to him, was Lafarge's subsidiary in Syria. From 2010 to 2014, Lafarge and LCS operated a cement plant in northern Syria near the Turkish border. The construction of the plant cost approximately $680 million. In 2011, a civil war began in Syria. Armed groups, including ISIS and ANF, fought against the Syrian government and each other for control of territory and resources. And in 2012, ISIS and ANF gained control of territory in Syria and committed numerous terrorist acts, resulting in the deaths of many U.S. citizens, among others. In 2012, Lafarge and LCS began to make monthly payments to various armed groups for protection. And by August 2013, payments were made to ISIS and ANF, two groups that Lafarge knew were designated as foreign terrorist organizations by the United States. The payments were intended to ensure the safety of LCS's employees and the continued operations of the plant. Now, while paying armed groups for the privilege of running a business was bad enough, the payments evolved in even more disturbing ways. In the summer of 2013, Lafarge and LCS began to negotiate to purchase raw materials from ISIS-controlled suppliers and eventually entered into revenue-sharing agreements with ISIS. ISIS would be paid a certain amount of money per ton of cement LCS sold. And in exchange, LCS was allowed to operate and generate tens of millions of dollars. LCS even obtained vehicle passes from ISIS that allowed LCS employees, suppliers, and customers to pass checkpoints controlled by ISIS. Here's a vehicle pass dated April 26, 2014. It bears ISIS letterhead and stamp. It allowed LCS employees, quote, to pass through after completing the necessary work and after paying their dues to us, end quote. In other words, in exchange for paying ISIS and sharing revenue with ISIS, Lafarge and LCS were able to conduct business as usual. And as the scheme evolved, Lafarge and LCS eventually sought not just permission to operate, but ISIS's assistance in blocking or taxing competitors who imported cheaper cement into Syria from Turkey. The decision to become business partners with ISIS was extraordinary. Leveraging ISIS to harm competitors defies belief, but it really happened. As a reflection of Lafarge's awareness that what it was doing was wrong, the defendants also took steps to conceal their scheme. They asked that the agreements with ISIS not name Lafarge and instead refer to the cement plant generically. Lafarge and LCS executives also frequently use personal email accounts rather than their corporate email addresses to communicate about their illicit arrangements, again, to further hide their conduct. They created invoices with false descriptions of the identities and work of the intermediaries who brokered the deals with the terrorists. In September and October 2014, when ISIS was targeting innocent civilians around the world, the executives
All right, we're going to keep an eye on this news conference in Brooklyn, New York. French cement company Lafarge entered a guilty plea this morning and will pay approximately $780 million after it was accused of making payments to ISIS. Meanwhile, we're going to take a quick break. On the other side, Robert Casa will join us. The latest on last night's Senate debate in Ohio. You're streaming CBS News.
Thinking about it.
Everybody wakes up in the morning and they are pelted with alerts that frighten them, news that agitates them. With this show, we have the time to explain what's going on. These migrants, they've been